Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, March 17th, and welcome back to the Nick Watkins Show. I'm Nick Watkins. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the WBC semifinal game from yesterday, where Team Venezuela took down Team Italy in a comeback win. 4-2 was the final score. Let's go over every aspect of this game. Not every aspect, because we gotta get to the big exciting game today, but we'll go over the big parts of it. The starting pitcher, Kiter Montero for Venezuela, he went one in the third, gave up 2 earned runs. He had some control problems. Italy was very patient in this game. The winning pitcher was Angel Zerpa, or Angel Zerpa, however you say it. He went 2/3 of an inning and struck out two. The save went to Danny Palencia, who looked very, very good. The Cubs' new closer. The loss went to Michael Lorenzen, but we'll talk about the Italy pitching more in depth. It started out Italy playing small ball, being patient, and they got 2 runs in the second inning because of their patience and because there was an RBI walk and a force out. They got a run home, and Italy took the early lead. Then Eugenio Suarez had a solo home run to make it 2-1 in the fourth inning, and then Venezuela, they broke out in the seventh inning. How did they start it off? Let's take a look, shall we? Get to the seventh. Here it is. Did he get pinch run for? Yes. So Gleyber Torres started off the seventh inning with a walk. He was pinch run for by Andres Jimenez. 2 strikeouts later, and you have 2 outs, and the runner is still on first base. That brought up Jackson Chourio, who hit a single, and so we'll restart that. That brought up Jackson Chourio, who hit a single. Jimenez went from first to third, and that put runners on the corners for Ronald Acuna Jr., the former MVP of the league. And Ronald had a ground ball too short. The shortstop tried to go to first. The problem there, Ronald Acuna Jr. is one of the fastest baseball players in the world. He beat it out, and Venezuela ties the game. The next hitter was Michael Garcia, and he lined a single in the left field, allowing Chourio to score from second. Acuna went from first to third, and runners on the corners once again, but this time Venezuela took the lead. Then that brought up Luis Arias, the new giant, and he did what Luis Arias does. He lined a single into the outfield, into left center field. That scored Acuna, extended the lead, some insurance runs there, 4-2 now at this point, and that would be the final for the rest of the game as the bullpen for Venezuela came in and shut everything down. Venezuela wins the game 4-2 thanks to a big seventh inning from the offense. So that was that. Let's take a look at the Italy pitching. I do want to shout them out. Aaron Nola was the starter in this one for Italy, and he was good. He went 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, and a walk. He only gave up 1 run, the 1 run being a home run to Eugenio Suarez, but he struck out 3 batters. He looked very good. His pitchers were very good, and he got 4 good innings. That's probably the most you could ask for, especially it being early, technically still spring training. He was followed by Michael Lorenzen, who was very good until that 7th inning came around, where he did get his only 2 strikeouts of his outing in that 7th inning, but he also gave up the 4 hits. All 4 hits, the only 4 hits he gave up in his outing, all came in that 7th inning. Gave up 3 earned runs. He's going to get the loss in this one as Italy gets eliminated from the tournament. But they were very good for the first 6 innings. It's just that 7th inning that gave them trouble. So that was the game. That was Italy and Venezuela. Venezuela wins 4-2 and advances to the WBC final. Let's take a look at that game because it is a big game. This is a huge deal. to the people of Venezuela and the United States as well. So let's take a look at the starting lineups, the projected matchups, and we'll go over it. The starting pitching matchup for the WBC championship game is an interesting one. For Venezuela, it's Eduardo Rodriguez. He is 32 years old, pitcher. He's on the D-backs right now. And Eduardo Rodriguez has kind of had a weird couple of years. Weird is probably an understatement. I mean, you go back to 2023, he was with the Tigers, and he was very, very good. And then uh, he was supposed to be traded to the Dodgers in that year, but he said I don't want to pitch for them, so the Tigers kept him. Then the next year he signs with Arizona, and he's had a 5 ERA in both of the last two seasons for the Diamondbacks. Not the same Erod that we know from the past. So, and this Erod kind of showed up again in the WBC. He's only made one start, 2 2/3 inning pitched against the DR. He gave up 3 earned runs, did strike out 5, but he gave up 2 home runs. Eduardo Rodriguez, there's a question of does he still have it at a consistent level? But the real question is will he have it for today's game going up against the United States of America? I think the United States is favored in this pitching matchup because they're putting out. The United States is starting Nolan McLean, rookie for the New York Mets, who was very, very impressive in his limited starts at the end of last season. His first and only start so far of the WBC, like Eduardo Rodriguez, did not go well. 3 innings pitched, gave up 3 earned runs against Italy, 2 home runs. He did strike out 4, but he did give up some big home runs. It's really going to be a question of which version of Erod and which version of Nolan McLean are going to show up in today's game. And that is probably going to be the key in this one because both offenses are potent. Both offenses are very good. The question is which starting pitcher can navigate those lineups the best and go deepest into the game while minimizing damage. That's going to be the key to this game is the starting pitchers because the bullpens have been worked pretty heavily, especially Venezuela, who played yesterday, and going deep into the game and not allowing runs while eating those innings is going to be key for the starters. Whichever starter does that better will put their team in a better position to win. And I think whatever starter pitches better will be probably the winning pitcher of this game, or at least not if they're not the winning pitcher, a part of the winning team. So the starting pitching matchup is going to be crucial. Let's take a look at the lineups. Starting with Venezuela, it's going to be Acuna, Garcia, Arias, Gino Suarez, Gleyber Torres, Tovar, Wilyer Abreu, Salvi Perez, and Jackson Churio. That is a very, very good lineup. Look at the United States. Witt, Harper, Judge, Schwarber, Bregman, Roman Anthony, Will Smith getting this start against the righty in this one. He's going to be in back-to-back games over Cal Raleigh. Bryce Terang, he's going to be getting the start over Gunnar Henderson. And Byron Buxton gets the start over PCA. It's interesting because the problem for the United States is they have too many good players. Not all of them can play in the game. I understand starting Buxton over PCA because of the handedness and Terang. I guess you could throw him up against Erod as opposed to Gunner. The interesting one for me is Will Smith. Will Smith will be the catcher over Cal Raleigh. Cal hasn't really had a good tournament. But that is still interesting because Smith caught on Sunday, and now they're going to be pitching or playing him in this Tuesday game. We'll definitely keep an eye on that, see if Raleigh will come into the game at some point. But yeah, Will Smith over Cal Raleigh is an interesting decision for the United States. We'll see how that one plays out for them. And yeah, those are the lineups. Two very good lineups. I expect to see a good game today. The WBC championship in Miami, it's going to be loud. It's probably going to be pro Venezuela. Maybe not as much as the DR, but that team has a lot of fans that are very invested in this. So I think the Venezuela team should be supported by most of the crowd, the majority of the crowd. But USA will still have some supporters, and hopefully they'll give them something to cheer about. Venezuela, it's kind of interesting that they got here. Well, not interesting that they got. Well, it is interesting that they got here, but I'm not I'm not super shocked by the fact that Venezuela is here. I just thought they wouldn't get here because the teams they would have to go through would be super, super difficult. But they beat Japan, and that was their big challenge. And they beat Italy, who had not lost a game in the tournament. So I'm not shocked that they're here, but it is still very intriguing that they're here. They beat Japan, who is a very, very good team, the defending champs. And they beat Italy, who beat us. So it's good for Venezuela that they're here. I'm not completely shocked by it, and I expected them to play well, but beating Japan, that was definitely a bit surprising. And I expect them to play well in this game. Can they play better than the United States? I don't know. And here's the recap for the United States, which we know we've been talking about it every single time they go out there. The United States, the favorites coming into the tournament, their play in the pool did not show anything to be overly excited about. In fact, there were definite questions of how seriously they were taking this thing, and they almost missed the playoff entirely. So, if you look at the pool play, Canada, they won, still not very convincing. It was a close game. The DR, that's probably the best team in the tournament still, in my opinion. And they beat them 2-1, a very, very close game. And the DR win does give me confidence. The problem still, what we have yet to see fully break out in a big game, is the offense. We've seen them score runs against the lower teams, but not against a really, really good team. They did not score very many runs against Mexico, Italy, Canada, or the DR. And now they're going to have to do it against Venezuela. I think they have a chance, though. I don't know if Erod is going to be top of his game today, and I think the United States can take advantage of that. And where I'm looking for that advantage to come from is at the 3 spot. Aaron Judge. He's hit some homers. He hasn't been like super quiet. He's been good. He's been contributing a lot in this WBC, but he has yet to have his signature moment in this tournament. And I honestly, I expect that to come tonight. I think if the United States offense is going to be able to be successful, it's going to have to start with their captain, and he can really set the tone in his first at bat because he is the 3 hitter. If he comes up with 2 outs and gets a hit, that's big. But if he strikes out, that's momentum towards Venezuela. So the captain, Aaron Judge, is going to be big in this game. So that's the game. This is my score prediction. I'm going to say it's going to be 6-3 United States victory over Venezuela. That's my prediction. Let's get to some other news now. The Giants played yesterday. They lost. But I want to talk about football because we had a big trade. Big trade. Jaylen Waddle, wide receiver drafted by the Dolphins. That's where he's been for his whole career. He's going to the Broncos in a big trade that sends a first-round pick, a third and a fourth-round pick, all of this year to Miami. We'll start from the Broncos side. I like it a lot for Denver. Jaylen Waddle is a great receiver, and he's kind of been in Tyreek Hill's shadow for the past, couple of years, really ever since Tyreek got there. But he is an explosive receiver. He is super fast. He's very talented. He's got 1,000 yards in almost every season of his career. Actually, the first 3, he's got 1,000. But I am a big fan of Jaylen Waddle. I think he's a really great receiver, and I think the interesting thing for me is to see how he's utilized in the Broncos offense because Sean Payton, when he was with the Saints, they had speedsters before. Colston, you think of maybe Ted Ginn as well. You think of Rashid Shaheed. Was he coached by Payton? I'm not sure. But the Broncos offense has this new element of speed and explosiveness that comes from Jaylen Waddle, and I'm super, super excited and interested to see how they use that because you have Courtland Sutton, who's a steady, consistent receiver. He's been there. He's the established guy. And now you bring in Jaylen Waddle, who's also an established receiver in this league, but for a different reason, for his speed and ability to really turn on the burners. And I'm excited to see how those two pair against each other. And if it goes well, if it's a good pairing, that's a big challenge, a nightmare for opposing defenses because the Broncos, they were the 1 seed last year, and now they just got better by adding Jaylen Waddle. That's something to look out for. That's scary, and if everything goes according to plan, Broncos offense could take a big step in this season. If you pair that with the defense, if it plays the same as it did last year, look out. Broncos look good. So let's move on to NBA. We'll talk about the Warriors. Warriors won yesterday, 125-117 over the Wizards. It was expected. It feels like the Warriors, even if it's a good team that we're playing or a bad team, we're still gonna make it super close, and we're gonna hang in there and contend with the good teams, and we're gonna let the bad teams hang around with us for too long. But we did snap a 5-game losing streak, and so that's good. Um, yeah, there's not really much to get excited about for the Warriors. Kristaps Porzingis dropped 30 points, so that is something to get excited about. And DeAnthony Melton played well as well. Kristaps 30 bomb. That is cool. You like to see that. That is something to get excited about. I'm sorry, I take that back. Spurs beat the Clippers 119-115. Wembanyama 21 points, 13 boards. Here's something interesting. Remember like a week ago when I called the Rockets total frauds? They just lost the Lakers 100-92, and Kevin Durant had 18 points in 37 minutes. That's not a lot. Luka, he dropped 36. I still believe the Rockets are frauds, and they might be first-round exits depending on who they play. Celtics beat the Suns. Hawks beat the Magic. And today going on, do we have any big games? Let's take a look at them. Suns Wolves, it's kind of good. Sixers Nuggets, that's kind of good. Those are the games going on. Let's move over to hockey. Big stuff going on for hockey. So let's look at the scores from yesterday. The Penguins beat the Avs 7-2. Mammoth beat the Stars 6-3. Not good for the Sharks, as well as the Kings beating the Rangers 4-1. So what does that mean? Where does it put us? 10th. Oh, now we're in 10th in the West because the Kraken, did they play yesterday? Did I forget that? Nope, they just advanced. But let's move on to today. Huge game for the Sharks tonight against the Edmonton Oilers for 3 reasons. Reason number 1, this is the last game of the road trip for the Sharks. Want to end it on a good note. This road trip, we are 2-2, so a win here would mean it would be a successful road trip. A loss, I mean, we were below 500 on the road trip. So to end the 5-game trip in a positive note, it would be big to get a win here today. Reason number 2. This is the first game the Oilers will be playing after the news that broke today that Leon Draisaitl is going to be out for the rest of the year with an injury. So it's going to be important to see how the Oilers come out, how they play, if they are shocked over the news and they're dysfunctional, or if they use this to come together and play hard for their teammate. We'll have to see how the Oilers play in this one. That's the reason number 2. Reason number 3, this is just such a huge game for the standings in the Western Conference. The Oilers are 7th in the West, 3rd in the Pacific with 75 points. The Sharks are 10th in the West, 6th in the Pacific with 70 points. They're only separated by 5 points, but they are separated by multiple teams in the standings. If the Sharks can win this game here today, they will gain big points on the Oilers, but if they lose this game, 7 points is a big gap. And I don't know if the Sharks will be able to close that gap to Edmonton by season's end. I think we might still play them again. I do want to double check that. So we do play the Oilers again. So if we can win both of those games, that's 4 points, and it's a 5-point gap, so there's just got to be one other game in there. That's a big if, but that's the third reason for why this game is so important, is because The standings in the West are still super tight. The Sharks can win this game and go back over the Kings. And really, at a 3.5 for a reason, is you take a look at who the Kraken, who are ahead of us, are playing. They play the Lightning. You take a look at who the, where was it? Take a look at who the Golden Knights are playing. They're playing the Sabres. Lightning and the Sabres are, I think they might be the two top teams in the East. They're 2 and 3 in the East. So that's kind of reason number 3.5 or 4, if you will, is the Golden Knights have to play the Sabres, who are 3, and the Kraken have to play the Lightning, who are 2 in the Eastern Conference. So if those games go the way we expect it to go in favor of the Eastern teams, the Sharks can gain points on the Oilers, Golden Knights, and Kraken with a win here today, and leapfrog the Kings, who don't play today. That's why this game is so important for San Jose, and a win would be huge for us here. So that's that. And that's going to do it for today's episode. So thank you everyone so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.